Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here with The Last Coat. We did a test wash on this hood with AMP on this side and raw panel on this side. So I wanted to just quickly show you guys the most easiest, for sure way to strip off a coating off of the surface, especially referring to AMP and TLC2. So we're going to take a dual action buffer, not a rotary, a dual action, also known as a DA. We're going to use a DA with a foam pad here. This is a Roops foam. It's yellow foam, so it's I think it's like a soft to medium polishing, if you will. Very, very good for doing one-step polishing. And we're going to use the last cut from the Last Detail Nevada here for our one-step. We don't need to do extreme polishing on it, but my other polish that I have out here as well is Sonak's Perfect Finish. So if you have a softer paint and you're using the last cut or something like this that actually removes swirling, then sometimes you can haze the panel. And when I mean haze, you get kind of just like a little bit of a dull look. It's not as shiny. Certainly you've removed defects off the panel, but it just doesn't look as glossy. You've not really done anything wrong. Technique can kind of come into play, and if you have harder paints, you know, a one-step perfectly fine with this, but sometimes I've seen it can haze some stuff. So you would then come back with a softer foam pad and use the Perfect Finish here to bring back the gloss in the hood. Very simple, quick back and forth steps. You don't take near as long as you do to do the cutting step. So just wanted to point that out. But for this, we're just going to take the last cut here, and we're going to put 4 drops on here, and they're all going to be the same size. And the reason they're going to be the same size is because we have a rotating mass, and with a DA it's going to be an oblong rotation. It's not a center point rotation, but either way we still want this thing to be able to, and again you can see the oblong portion still can spin on a rotary action to a degree, but it also oscillates like this. So we want it to still be able to spin without a vibration and causing chattering or things like that. So always try to have them evenly spaced and the same amount across the pad. We're going to prime the pad to start with, and this is just a gun cleaning brush. Most of you, if you're into the 2A movement here, you've probably got one of these just sitting around. So make sure you haven't put gun oil grease on it and it's a clean brush. And then you're going to just take your compound and you're going to rub it right into the pad. This will reduce flinging, as well as this smears it across the pad and gives you ample coverage across the pad surface to start cutting with. As well as the pad won't want to be jumping up and down as much when you do this than if you just started with dots. So we literally had a tape line down here, so I'm really going to only polish from about here over because I don't really need to do anything over here. The other thing with most polishes in general, especially the last cut, it's called a diminishing abrasive. So the more you polish and the more you spread it out, that it will break down the beads and cause the polishing effect to be much less. So it won't be as aggressive. The reason I did this with the machine off is because with the machine on, it can actually diminish the polish. So this gives us a lot less diminished polish across there and gives us a pretty even working surface from where we spread it. So we'll be able to cut and remove stuff the same we did here as we are here. It won't really diminish. We'll have the same working area across the board. So don't try to do too much of an area at one time. The other thing when I started polishing, I used to think that I couldn't get very aggressive, and sometimes I would start at a really low speed and things would look almost camouflaged. They would be kind of dull and shiny, and I would get nervous that I was burning things. The reality of it was I needed to speed up the buffer and actually put more speed into the surface and actually stay in the same spot a little bit longer. But with a DA, as long as you're moving it around and you just don't hold it here forever, you're not going to burn the paint. So just keep that in mind. So if you go too slow, sometimes you're not going to have a great result. You got to speed up the buffer to actually cut through everything. So here we go. I'm going to start at speed 6 on this. I'm not even going to start slow because I know that we just need to get through this as quick as possible. So. hashtag So now that we've done that, we'll wipe this off with a microfiber, and we pretty much have full removal of whatever was on the surface here before. So now we would only be left with polishing oils and things like that from what we're doing, which isopropyl alcohol, IPA, will remove that, or if you have a prep surface cleaner for your surface, you can use that as well. Not going to really get into this too much, but if you're wanting to make sure that your polishing is coming out adequate, you're removing swirls, you want to have a good light to look at your surface with, or have good overhead lighting, being LEDs and things like that. Fluorescent lights don't really show as much, so surfaces will look much better under the fluorescent. You get them out in the sun, a bunch of stuff's going to show that's still there. So you always want to have a good LED. This one's a scan grip. It has 2 different LED settings, as well as you can change the Kelvin scale, so you can go from a blue to a yellowish light. And you just always want to be able to look at your work, which pretty amazing here. On the 1-step portion, we have a little bit of hazing, but drastic difference in the amount of swirls that we pulled out of the surface. So. And again, like I said, to remove the hazing, we would just go back with the perfect finish. Or, quick little trick I'll show you right now. Turn your buffer down to speed 3 and go back over this real lightly. Don't put a lot of pressure on it. This won't work on every paint surface because every car is a different canvas, but you can do this to a degree on the majority of dark colored paints, and by slowing down the pad speed and having a diminished polish on here from doing the cutting stage, you can actually achieve a pretty decent gloss and get rid of some of that hazing. And again, then you would check your work with your LED. And yeah, actually we took out a good amount of the hazing. Surface looks way smoother now. And got a good amount of gloss in it. So that's that. Real simple. Going to continue on all the way across here. So, and actually, when you're done doing a 2 foot by 2 foot area, every time you're going to put new compound on the pad, take your gun brush, and I always just turn that up on. With foam, I use the soft side. If I'm cutting with a microfiber pad, I then will take the more stiff bristled side, and I will have it on there, and I'll do the same thing and let it pull all the stuff out of there. Another thing too, when you're polishing, if you're wondering if you're doing the same speed across all your passes, you can watch your rings in your buffer wheel here, and if they look completely consistent with one another, you're going the same speed across the surface. If you start going slower or faster, you'll see that gap spread out and the surface will look different. I'm pretty well balanced between height. You see it started shaking the moment I put the hand
up here. I'm creating a balance, making this thing as flat as possible to the big surface. That'll get us as much cutting as we can. You don't want to be kind of up in the air because we're not cutting the surface. You want to keep as much air out from between the pad and the paint surface. So stay as flat as possible when you can. When you get rounded surfaces, it's much harder, but try to keep as much of the pad contacted to the paint as you can. And then again, you're going to balance this out by using your hands here. I mean, I can pretty much just be guided. I'm really not doing a lot of pressure here. I'm letting the muscle do the work. I'm just balancing it. So, I mean, you can get pretty crazy. I mean, you're trying to do it one hand. It's more just letting the muscle do the work for you. Drop down to C3, and we're just going to do a light polish across the surface to remove any casing we created. A lot of humidity in the air today because it's raining outside, so some of the compound is softening up a little bit here now that we've slowed down. Not the worst thing, but we're probably not getting a great slow polish, so we're going to speed it up just a tad bit. And I'm going to do a little bit more working across the surface here to kind of eliminate this drying factor. Kind of going back and forth where I was. Like I said, every vehicle is a different canvas, so not every trick that you ever learn is going to work all the time on everything. You're going to have to change pads, and you're probably going to have to change compounds and things. But for a majority, most of this stuff will work. And especially for the average person, the results are going to be extremely good. I'm a very picky person and I have very picky clients, so people want perfection, and you got to pick up some tricks along the way to make that happen with certain things.
Which is already a huge difference going across here. It's pretty cool. Which actually. You see how much swirling and stuff was over here, and as I start wiping this away, you'll see how much we've eliminated. So there's where we've polished out, and again where we haven't. You can see how much swirling is in the surface and how much we've cleared it up. And then if you want to cross that with the perfect finish, you would really gloss it up a lot more, and you would actually see a lot more of that LED light. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm using a one of the towels from the last coat that you receive in your box here to do the buffing off. And this was a junkyard hood, mind you, too. So that's why it has some imperfections, like right there, had some really nasty etching in it. Been wet sanded a few different times, and it's just not worth trying to pull it out because you thin it down every time, and it's just going to cause it to peel up there. So again, you can see the massive difference we have. Let's go back across the hood and where we have not. And you can even see this oxidation ring. Looks like somebody did a blend, I'm assuming in this section here, with some clear coat at one point. It's again been wet sanded and you can't remove it. It's down in there deep. So not 100%, but that's my guess. So that's the quickest way to remove a coating off of your vehicle, as well as bring back a bunch of gloss and remove all those fine scratches and spider webs and things like that. And this was just with a foam pad, and we had that much removal. You know, you don't always need a microfiber pad or really aggressive pads. Sometimes a softer pad with an aggressive compound will work just fine. You kind of like trade one for the other. So don't be fooled by always thinking you need a microfiber pad for things. So yeah, that's the easiest way to remove a coating, especially AMP or TLC2. Again, clay bar and all that, and some light degreaser wipings can remove it, but you're gonna have to do multiple times, and it's just gonna take a good amount of time to kind of do that. This, you also add gloss into the surface and remove stuff. So if you can use a buffer on a foam pad, you're gonna get a much better result, and your work is going to look a lot better at the end, and you know, you're probably going to still spend the same amount of time probably doing it to a degree. So might as well have a better look, right? So I hope that can help you all, and stay tuned, and I'll keep coming out with random tutorials to show you guys some tips and tricks. It's one thing I love to do, so if I can show you guys this kind of stuff and make your life easier, really, really glad to do it. So stay tuned. Sorry. Add this to the video here. You're probably going, I was wanting to wait until you got into this curve here and see how you were going to stick that 5-inch pad in this tiny area that probably would require a 1 or a 3-inch pad. Because at the end of the day, not every one of you guys have a small Roops or the new Flex that has come out, or anything like that. Some of you guys are just straight up using this, or even a 6-inch. And let me tell you, I started with a Roops, well, no, I did not. I started with a Surehold 5-inch and then went to a Roops 21. So I had a 6-inch pad that I was doing corrections with. I had to learn the hard way how to get something, a big pad, into a small area. So the one thing I did learn is that as long as this thing is vibrating, you're still cutting. Now you're gonna have to take a little bit longer, and you do need to be aware that when it is grinding down on an edge like this and an edge here, you're not cutting as hard here. So you do need to be aware of this surface here and this surface here. So what I always advise, don't cut here first and don't cut here. Try to focus your point here, and then if you need to, get the buffer up into this direction here at an angle and really cut this area. But do your first polishing into the deepest area so that you don't cut this down and you have much more clear coat to work with. The biggest thing with doing corrections is not trying to take, you want to remove as little clear coat as you have to remove the defects. You do not want to be removing more than you need to. That's just going to cause clear coat failures down the road and all kinds of other problems. You want to do as minimal work as you need to get the best result possible. So we're going to put it right up in here. We're going to change things up a bit. Sometimes slowing down, you can see it's actually digging in a little bit better. So here, the trick is sometimes going fast is not the best thing. Slow it down a little bit and hold it in this area a little bit longer. And as long as it's vibrating, you're still cutting. And you can actually see the channel getting smaller. And as I work it up in here, I'm really aiming down, and I am putting more pressure here. Now that I've done that, I will take this, heat it up, and I will kick this thing in a 45, and I will start working my edges here. And I'm also kind of down into the valley to a degree, but not a lot. Then I'm going to come up like this, and I'm going to work this side of the valley. And I may even go up and down, and I'm kind of grinding this out right now.
Doing this, you're going to leave some marring right down here in the center. So we want to come back and clean that up. But mind you, when we come back into that channel, we're going to be digging at these areas harder here. So we want to come back in and do as light a polish as we can. Sometimes using somewhat of the side of the pad, and if you got to get back in there, keep that thing down as hard as you can and come out of there. And that's the easiest way to polish into a smaller area with a big pad. So, hope that helps you.